house guy. Because
if
you think about it, Dead Silence.
What are your thoughts on Dead Silence?
I love it.
I like that movie a lot.
I love it. It's a proto this. I mean, the tone is so heightened. It's so like it's very
red.
Yeah,
remember
very
that scene
red.
with the when the dummy is I don't know the name of the dummy, but the dummy is sitting in the corner.
4K.
And then the light of the hotel is just like blasting him.
Yeah.
And it's just whoa, eye popping.
The tone though, right? It's just so over the top. Like I think a lot of people missed that at the time. But yeah, he didn't want to be the Insidious guy, the haunted house guy, Conjuring, haunted house. So he's like, I wanted to do something completely different. And then his wife brought him this. And I think he just was able to embrace his like inner horror nerd. And you can tell, like, you know what he said? This movie, it doesn't blend genres. It doesn't
bend, it blends.
It doesn't bend. He's a genre blender. He's like, I took every genre, put it in a blender, and just came out with this movie. I mean, and he wrote this too. I have some notes here. He said it's a haunted house movie. It's a mystery thriller. It's a creature feature. There's serial killers. There's like a science fiction element to it. It's like a slasher. Like all of that involved. But it still works.
Yeah.
And you know what I like too? There's so many revelations that just keep coming. Like you keep learning things with each new scene. So when Madison gets her head smashed, right? They really focus on the blood and they do all that. And then the next night that guy is killed and you meet the cops. And then the chase scene, we learn something. Then she goes and gets the video, we learn something. Like it doles out the mysteries pretty good. When the woman falls through the floor and when she's like, the cops are about to leave and the woman falls through the floor. And like, that's a cool surprise. This movie keeps adding...
If you watch the movie, you think that that's a layer somewhere else.
Yeah.
Turns out it's in the attic.
Like, there's so many little things that they just keep dropping on you that you, like, is an imaginary friend. Like, what is this? And I like the way that Wan and, like, you know, the screenwriters just doled out the surprises. But there's enough of them. Like, okay, I think another reason why I love this movie, we watch a lot of movies, right? We watch a lot of horror movies, specifically. Not a lot of them surprise me anymore. There's some horror movies that I like and I enjoy, and I think they're like a good 90-minute watch, and then I turn it off and think about something else. But this one kept surprising me, and I kept being excited. And that doesn't happen much for me anymore watching cinema. I don't know if you get that or not.
No, well, I mean, recently I started getting really into the Paulinoia brothers, which if you know who they are. They were like pioneers of shot-on-video horror.
Oh.
I recently purchased a bunch of their movies because there's SRS Video had a sale. And then I literally just started reading about these guys. And I got super excited because not only did they do shot on video, because I'd started loving shot on video. These guys are actually from rural Pennsylvania, which is where I'm from.
Hey.
And they're from Johnstown, which is about 2 hours away from where I'm from in Pennsylvania. So I was like, oh, wow, this is really cool. Guys that are from the area that are making these movies. And they are ridiculous. And I never gotten so giddy about watching these movies. And they're crap. You know, Miriam, whenever she comes into the room and I'm watching them, she's like, she turns around and goes the other way. But they're just complete junk. But they shot these movies, you know, like the one, their first movie they shot while they were on Christmas break, while they were in high school.
Nice.
Like 1985. And I mean, it's really neat. It's really neat stuff to watch. But yeah, I mean, I get excited about stuff like that. And it's very rare where I'll actually watch a budgeted film where it actually gets me going into it. Whereas with Malignant, I was like, ooh. I like the way this is going now.
Yeah.
No, the second time around.
Yeah.
But I mean, the first time, obviously. But like, to give people an idea of like what kind of movie and like what kind of like impact is really hitting into this film, we got 31 stunt guys and girls and 6 puppeteers.
Yes, exactly. 11 different costumes for the different Gabriels.
25 producers.
There is 25 producers.
And I've never seen so many producers in my life.
You know what? I read, I was reading online, and they said that someone just assumed that Warner Brothers just gave them money. And they said it wasn't like that at all because we're an independent finance film. We're with Starlight Media. So I guess Starlight financed the movie and then they made a deal with Warner Brothers to distribute it. But like Starlight, and probably it's 50 producers, somehow raised the money for them. But I love what they showed. Nobody stopped us. We just ran for the door. These are the movies I love. And typically sometimes, Chris, I think when a director gets no oversight or like a blank check, I mean, and listen, $40 million for a James Wan horror film is a blank check for him. I'm just
because he can, and like, I mean, just, anyways.
Yeah, but like, we get movies that typically aren't that successful sometimes because no oversight, you know, dream project, you can go, it's crazy as you want, go make it. And you watch some films like directors' passion projects, like I don't know, like Postman or I like Silence by Scorsese, but no one went and watched it. Like
like Kundun.
Yeah, like
oof.
Everyone lost weight, right? Like everyone lost 30, 40, 50 pounds on it, and no one really watched it, even though it's really good.
And what was that? Home of the Brave is another one.
Yeah, exactly. And so you make these passion projects, and there's a reason why passion projects aren't normally made. Like, franchise pictures, when they made like Whole Nine Yards and Battlefield Earth, they were funding A-listers' passion projects, and then all their movies were duds. They lost a ton of money. They swindled a bunch of money from a German company. They went out of business. But this was a pure passion project made with love, and it turned out really well. Which, I don't know, I feel like sometimes passion projects, blank check movies don't work. Like, remember the Steve Carell one where he's on the Ark? What's the name of that one?
Evan Almighty.
Evan Almighty, the director, got a blank check. And I think
then for Dan in real life, would have been like his actual type of, like, to contrast that.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I don't know, I just really... I think this movie could have gone wrong on so many levels when you don't have oversight. But I think James Wan is just so good.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not like... And there's not much wasted time on this. This isn't the longest movie. This is, 97 minutes?
It was almost 2 hours.
Oh, was it?
It's a little bit... It's like I think it's an hour and 52 minutes.
Jeez, wait. Well, so I actually
it doesn't feel like
no. So I actually think it's shorter than what it is. That's cool.
It has a lot to do with those amazing camera setups too.
Oh,
I mean, like the sweet De Palma shots that they got. I mean, it's throughout the whole movie. Like De Palma, it's like
De Palma.
Well, I read an article. It was like a giallo if it was directed by De Palma, and I was like, yeah, that is pretty accurate. Because then I wrote that in my notes just when I was watching it, like the sweet De Palma shots, and I was like, oh wow, other people saw this too.
The Jacqueline McKenzie shot, Florence Weaver, when she's in her house,
yes,
and he shoots from outside in, slowly panning.
Slowly pushing.
That's a De Palma shot.
Oh yeah, and it's really good because then most people would have taken that shot and then moved it inside the house. They would have done a nice establishing shot when you're like, oh, we're at someone's house, pushing in, you're in Dr. Weaver's house. But he leaves the camera outside with a slow push in, and then you just see her on the phone, and then it's Gabriel talking. He's like, time to whatever. And you're like,
hey now.
you're the 100th customer at TJ Maxx. You forgot to pick up
I'm gonna kill you if you don't get me a 4K Blu-ray player TV combo. Wait, they have a combo of that? Well, get them separately. But
I'll take it in November when you can get a discount. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. All right, just make sure I get it before Thanksgiving.
Of course, it's not a combo. I messed up my words. I don't talk much. I've been in the back of this lady's head.
Well, I only got to wig him because of her abusive husband. Which I've read a few people commenting on that. They call him laughable. Which I didn't think he was laughable at all.
No.
I thought he was terrible.
Yeah.
It's a horrible guy. And they're like, yeah, he's laughably abusive. How are you laughably abusive?
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
I mean, he serves the function to do that. And then he plays the classic role. You hurt the person, then you feel bad.
And he's watching MMA for some reason.
Yeah. Hey, you turn that off. He was
watching that downstairs. Did you find that strange? I always found that weird. He's watching MMA in the bed while texting. And
all the lights
fully
are
clothed.
on. Yeah.
Why is he downstairs watching it in like the quote unquote family room?
And he's watching highlights too.
No,
so when she turns it off, like I was watching the fights, I'm like, these are just highlights. Is he just watching highlights?
Right.
I was watching that.
Like watching what?
Oh man. But yeah. I mean, he's such a non-role. He's just there to kind of bust her head. But like also he alienated her for years, so people didn't know about what was going on. And you know what's interesting too, to have that first kill with him in it, you kind of wonder, is Gabriel good? Because
you bring up a good point, because he's only he's killing off the bad people, and I guess, I mean, killing Dr. Weaver, would that be a good or a bad move? Because it is like he doesn't really have a reason to kill her.
Yeah, I mean she said, I'm going to cut out the cancer. He remember, I'm going to kill you all. I guess,
Yeah.
She
you tried to kill me, so I'm going to kill you.
Yeah. You cut all my 90% of my body off and shoved me in the back of my head.
Some reason he sounds like a southerner.
Oh.
But,
hey, Florence Weaver. Okay, and then she's like, hey, Gabriel, can you turn the music down? He's like listening to...
Counselor.
He's listening to some like... I don't know, Dwight Yoakam really loud in the background. Hey, Florence, Gabriel, can you turn the music? Oh, my bad.
Sorry, I'm just a big fan of guitars, Cadillacs.
I got this new system.
It's in 4K.
And then someone downstairs is like listening, like, do I hear Dwight Yoakam? Oh, man. But yeah, so you kind of think, like, is Gabriel this imaginary friend who's killing bad people? You know, like, it's not.
Yeah.
I think that's a smart way to begin it because just the mystery slowly unfolds.
You first think that maybe she's killing them and just lying about it, but then you start seeing that like this person that's moving isn't moving like a human being, which is kind of, that's what gives that nice little pop.
Man, so you know, I saw you the other day, Chris Kelly. You were walking like Gabriel. And I'm like, what is
that? Is he doing his Tom Green impersonation?
Like,
from Freddy Got Fingered?
Are you proud? Oh gosh. You know, Julie Haggerty is just the best. And she did everything. Rip Torn. It breaks my heart. That movie breaks my heart. All right, so how about this? Let's take a quick break. Let's go drink some coffee. Let's go talk about how awesome Julie Haggerty is. And then when we come back, we'll talk more Malignant. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flicks. And hey, Bosco, are you still here? No. Remember the scene where George Young he's putting a late night in, and he's still working in the office, and he asks the guy, hey, Bosco, you still here? And Bosco's still there, and Bosco goes, no. And then he asks him to age the photo 30 years.
Oh, and he says about how he thought he was the only good-looking one working there.
Yeah. But I just love that line. Hey, Bosco, you still here?
Speaking of lines in movies, did you happen to notice that they pulled something that happened to you back in the day?
What?
So there was a scene after the murder of Florence.
When I was killed.
Back when you were killed. Yeah, you look great, by the way.
Thank you.
So Shaw says, bag all these books. I want them all back to the print scene. And the extra nods. But when he nods, he says, yes, sir. And I was like, that's got Mark Hoffmeyer and American Reunion written all over it.
Tell me when. I could have made some money off that. I was watching on Netflix the other day, and like, you tell me when. I'm like, no.
Robbed again.
Man, I'm in a lot of that party, Chris Kelly. I'm like lurching around it. I'm kind of like, yeah.
So did that. The same thing with the extra that plays the cop.
Yes, sir.
I saw that and I nearly died.
Oh man, and like there's some little scenes in this movie that give it personality too, like when Sydney is dressed up as a princess hanging out in the hospital. Like, why is this here?
I'm glad they never actually showed her work too.
Yeah,
I think it's nice to just to have that. Like, she's like, oh, I'm a princess, by the way, and I do it at family arcade or whatever.
But it's just funny to see that, and like, I don't know, I dug the little touches that gave these movies personality. So like, you know, Kay, I like them just calling him Kay, and I think he gets some funny moments, and even like Winnie when she's hitting on him.
There's also like other things, like to add little things. Dr. Fields, who was played by Christian Clemson, he's the one doctor that he's murdered inside of his house. He's the older, overweight doctor. On his dresser drawer, he has cologne bottles. Those things weren't really like popular since like the 70s. I thought that was really interesting that he actually had a collection of cologne bottles. And not only that, leading into his closet, he has tobacco pipes. And underneath it, presumably a tobacco box.
Yeah.
Isn't that neat? Yeah. I thought that was like a really added character to him. Like, he was like an old man almost. Because I've made that comment to my wife. I said that cologne bottles were more something that my grandfather would have had. And he's
fancy cologne bottles, not like a CK1.
No, exactly. I mean, this would have been like the, you know, like, do you know what I'm talking about?
Like a decanter looking things with cologne.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you see that, like, I think the doctor in the movie actually has race cars, but those were expensive back in the day. I mean, of course, this would have been the 60s and 50s when people bought them, but they were big ticket items. They were not cheap at all. I thought that was interesting.
Michael Jordan cologne. I think I had David Beckham cologne. And then I had CK1 and CKB. And then there's like another one like Pure or something. But I haven't spritzed myself since high school.
I wear patchouli every day. And then I have
we can still smell it in our closet over here.
Tom Ford knockoff version of Tom Ford's vanilla tobacco.
Okay, so what's a knockoff of Tom Ford? Rick Buick? Rick Buick. What? Ron Buick.
Ron Buick.
Ron Fjord. Wait, Tom Fjord.
Tom Metro.
Tom. No, but yeah, like even his clothes, when you look at it, they were very color, like the palette matched. They were kind of drab in color. They weren't that bright. And I love that scene, the doors opening and closing. James Wan is just having fun with doors opening, doors closing, wet footprints. There's just a lot of cheekiness to the way he shot it. And that's when the red is. I mean, that's where the poster comes from, right? Because Madison's laying in the bed with the red when Madison's laying in the bed with the red. Even I love the name Madison Mitchell, Clark Kent. You know, like it's very
very short, quick names.
Yeah, alliterative Madison Mitchell. Like it's works really well as